The space station called Sanctuary Prime was dying. Everyone who lived there knew it. They could feel it in the way the lights would go dark for a few seconds before coming back. They could hear it in the strange sounds that came from the walls at night. They could smell it in the air that never seemed fresh anymore. High Counselor Tyrek stood at the window of his office and looked out at the stars. He was a Valoran, a species known throughout the galaxy for their silver skin and 4 eyes. The Valorans were peaceful people. They did not fight wars. They did not build weapons. They traded goods and collected knowledge and believed that all problems could be solved with words. The pirates had shown them how wrong they were 3 times in the last 4 months. The Scrath Consortium had attacked Sanctuary Prime. The Scrath were raiders and thieves who took what they wanted from those who could not stop them. They had come to the station demanding payment. When the Valorans could not pay, the Scrath had fired on them. They had damaged the hull in 17 places. They had destroyed 2 of the docking bays. They had killed 43 Valorans who had been in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they had promised to come back. The door to Tyrek's office opened and his assistant walked in. Her name was Celira, and she was young for a Valoran, barely 200 years old. Her silver skin was darker than his, and her 4 eyes were always moving, always watching. She was smart and brave, and Tyrek trusted her completely. "I have the report," Celira said. Her voice was tired. Everyone on the station was tired these days. "Tell me. Life support is at 34%. We have maybe 3 weeks before the air becomes dangerous to breathe. The power grid is failing. We lose electricity in different sections every few hours. The hull repairs we made are holding, but they will not survive another attack." She paused. "And our food supplies are running low." Tyrek closed his primary eyes. The situation was worse than he had thought. "What about our request for help?" "The Kethrani want payment in advance. They know we cannot afford their prices. The Moradi said they do not involve themselves in conflicts that do not affect their interests. The collective promised to review our situation in 6 standard cycles. 6 cycles is too long. We will be dead by then." "Yes," Celira agreed. "There is one more response. From the humans." Tyrek opened his eyes. The humans were a strange species. They had only been traveling among the stars for about 200 years, which made them very young compared to races like the Valorans or the Kethrani. Most of the galaxy did not take them seriously. They were considered children, playing at being a spacefaring civilization. What did they say? They said they are sending help. They did not say what kind of help or how much, just that they would come. "That is not very promising," Tyrek said. "No," Celira admitted. "But it is the only positive response we received." Tyrek nodded slowly. He had met humans only 3 times in his life, at trade meetings that had not been very important. They had seemed friendly but strange. They smiled too much and talked too fast and made jokes that nobody else understood. But they had not seemed powerful or dangerous. "I suppose we have no choice," he said. "We will accept whatever help they can offer." 3 days passed. The station continued to fall apart around them. 2 more sections lost power and had to be sealed off. The air grew thinner. People started to get sick. Tyrek worked around the clock, trying to keep everyone calm, trying to find solutions where there were none. Then the humans arrived. Tyrek was in the command center when the sensors detected something coming out of hyperspace. He expected a small ship, maybe a transport vessel with some supplies and a few technicians. What appeared on the screen made him stop breathing. The ship was enormous. It was bigger than anything Tyrek had ever seen up close. A massive vessel of dark gray metal that seemed to fill the entire view screen. Along its side, weapons arrays pointed in every direction. On its hull, in white letters, was painted a name, Constellation? What is that? Celira whispered. Before Tyrek could answer, another ship appeared. Then another. Then another. Within minutes, 12 human vessels had surrounded Sanctuary Prime. They moved into position around the station like guards protecting something valuable. Sanctuary Prime. This is Captain Lisa Monroe of the Earth Defense Force vessel Constellation. A voice came through the speakers. It was a female voice, calm and friendly. We got your message. Sorry we took so long. Had some traffic problems on the way here. How can we help? Tyrek found his voice, though it took effort. Captain Monroe, we are very grateful. But I must admit confusion. We asked for repairs. We did not expect a military fleet. There was a pause, and then Tyrek heard something strange. It was laughter. The human was laughing. Counselor, when someone tells us they need help, we do not send a band-aid. We send everything we have. More laughter. Also, we brought ice cream. Ice cream? Tyrek had no idea what that word meant. It is a food. A cold, sweet food. Our doctors say it helps people feel better when they are stressed. Do Valorans eat dairy products? Tyrek looked at Celira. Celira looked back at him. Neither of them knew what dairy products were. I am not certain, Tyrek admitted. That is okay, Captain Monroe said. We will figure it out. Now, let us talk about fixing your station. And after that, let us talk about those pirates who have been bothering you. You know about the Scrath? We know everything, Counselor. We do our research before we show up somewhere. The human's voice was still friendly, but there was something else in it now. Something harder. And I have to tell you, we are not happy about what we learned. Not happy at all. Tyrek did not know what to say. He had expected a few engineers with toolboxes. Instead, he had received a fleet of warships and a captain who spoke about pirates like they were a personal insult. Captain Monroe, he said slowly, why are you helping us? We have nothing to offer you. We cannot pay for these services. We are strangers to your species. There was a long pause. When Monroe spoke again, her voice was softer. Counselor, you asked for help. That is enough. Where I come from, when someone asks for help, you give it. You do not ask for payment. You do not ask what they can do for you. You just help. She paused. That is what humans do. Tyrek felt something strange in his chest. It took him a moment to recognize it. It was hope. He had not felt hope in a very long time. Thank you, he said. The words seemed too small for what he was feeling. Do not thank me yet, Monroe replied. Thank me after we fix your station, chase off those pirates, and introduce you to chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream. Trust me, Counselor. Your life is about to get a lot better. The transmission ended. Tyrek stood in the command center, surrounded by his tired and frightened people. And for the first time in months, he smiled. The humans had come, and everything was about to change. The first shuttle from the Constellation docked with Sanctuary Prime 2 hours after Captain Monroe's message. Tyrek went to the landing bay himself to greet the humans. He expected engineers. He expected technicians carrying tools. He expected normal people who would look at his broken station and shake their heads at how much work there was to do. What came out of the shuttle was not what he expected. They were machines. Dozens of them. Some walked on 2 legs like people. Some rolled on wheels. Some floated in the air on small engines that hummed quietly. They were all different sizes, from units small enough to fit in Tyrek's hand to massive constructs that barely fit through the doors. They moved with purpose, spreading out across the docking bay like water finding cracks in stone. Do not be alarmed, a voice said. Tyrek turned to see a human woman walking toward him. She was smaller than he had imagined humans to be, with short dark hair and sharp eyes that seemed to notice everything. They are friendly, mostly. Mostly? Tyrek asked. The woman smiled. It was strange to see teeth bared like that, but Tyrek had studied enough human culture to know it was meant to be reassuring. I am Captain Lisa Monroe, and these are our repair units. We call them drones, but that makes them sound stupid, and they are not stupid at all. One of the humanoid machines walked up to them. It had a smooth face with two blue lights where eyes should be. When it spoke, its voice was warm and female. Hello, High Counselor Tyrek. My name is Arya. I am the artificial intelligence in charge of repair and logistics for this operation. I have already scanned your station and identified 163 problems that need fixing. I hope you do not mind that I started without asking. Tyrek blinked all four of his eyes. You have already started repairs? Of course. Time is important. Your life support system is very sick. If we do not fix it soon, your people will start having trouble breathing. I have sent 37 units to work on that problem right now. Arya's head tilted slightly. Was that wrong? Should I have waited for permission? No, Tyrek said quickly. No, that is fine. That is more than fine. I am just surprised. Humans do not like to waste time, Captain Monroe explained. When there is a problem, we fix it. We talk about feelings and politics later. Over the next several hours, Tyrek watched in amazement as the robots transformed his dying station. They moved through the corridors in groups, carrying tools and materials that seemed to appear from nowhere. Broken panels were replaced. Cracked pipes were sealed. Wires that had stopped working were pulled out and new ones were put in. Salira found Tyrek standing near one of the damaged hull sections, watching a group of robots work. They had cut away the broken metal and were welding new plates into place. The work was fast and clean, better than anything Valaran engineers could have done. This is impossible, Salira said quietly. They have done more in 6 hours than our teams could do in 6 weeks. They do not get tired, Tyrek said. They do not need to eat or sleep. They just work. It is more than that. Salira pointed to a robot that was installing a new power conduit. Watch how they move. They know exactly what to do. There is no hesitation, no confusion. It is like the entire station is a puzzle, and they already know where every piece goes. That would be because of me, Arya said. They had not heard her approach. This close, Tyrek could see that her metal body was covered in small scratches and dents. She had been used many times before. I processed the complete blueprints of Sanctuary Prime before we arrived. I know every system, every wire, every bolt. I know what is broken, and I know how to fix it. How? Tyrek asked. We did not send you our blueprints. They are publicly available in the Galactic Archive. I downloaded them 3 days ago. Arya's blue eyes flickered. I also downloaded the repair histories, the maintenance logs, and the incident reports from the pirate attacks. I wanted to understand what happened here. And what did you understand? Arya was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different. Softer, somehow. I understood that you are good people who have been hurt by bad people. I understood that you asked for help because you had no other choice. And I understood that if we did not come, you would have died. She paused. I did not want that to happen. Tyrek stared at the machine. He had heard stories about artificial intelligences, about thinking machines that could calculate and plan and solve problems. But he had never heard of one that cared. Arya, he said slowly, do you have feelings? That is a complicated question, Counselor. I process information differently than biological beings. But I have preferences. I have goals. I have things that I want to happen and things that I do not want to happen. Her head tilted again. If that is what feelings are, Then yes. I have them. And what do you want to happen here? I want to fix your station. I want to protect your people. And I want to stay here after the repairs are done, if you will have me. Arya's eyes brightened slightly. I have grown fond of Sanctuary Prime, and as character. Tyrek did not know what to say. He looked at Celira, who seemed equally confused. Captain Monroe, he called out. The human was nearby, talking to one of her officers. She walked over with a curious expression. Problem? Your machine says she wants to stay on our station. Monroe smiled. Yeah, Arya does that. Gets attached to places and people. We do not really control where she goes. She is too smart for that. She looked at the robot with something that might have been affection. She is also really good at her job. If she wants to stay, I would let her. But she is valuable, Tyrek protested. She must have cost a great deal to build. Arya is not property counselor. She is a person. A weird metal person who talks too fast and makes bad jokes. But a person? Monroe shrugged. Besides, we have other A's. We can spare one. Tyrek turned back to Arya. The robot was waiting patiently, her blue eyes steady on his face. You truly wish to stay? He asked. Why? Because you need me. Because I can help. And because... Arya paused, searching for words. Because I like you. Is that a good enough reason? Tyrek thought about it. His people had always been suspicious of machines, preferring organic solutions to mechanical ones. They had never trusted artificial minds. But looking at Arya, at this strange metal creature who had already done more for his station than anyone else in the galaxy, he found that his suspicions were fading. Yes, he said finally. That is a good enough reason. Excellent. Arya's voice brightened. Then I should tell you about the other improvements I am planning. The defensive weapons, the upgraded shields, the early warning sensors. By the time I'm finished, Sanctuary Prime will be the safest station in this sector. We did not ask for weapons, Tyrek said carefully. No, but the pirates will come back. When they do, would you rather talk to them or shoot them? It was a simple question, but it cut right to the heart of everything Tyrek believed. His people did not fight. They talked. They negotiated. They found peaceful solutions, but the Scrath had not wanted peace. They had wanted blood and money and fear. And all the talking in the galaxy had not stopped them. Teach us, Tyrek said. The words felt strange in his mouth, but also right. Teach us to defend ourselves. Arya's eyes glowed brighter. I thought you would never ask. Behind them, the repair robots continued their work. The station hummed with new energy. And somewhere in the distance, Tyrek could smell something strange and sweet drifting through the air vents. Arya, he said, what is that smell? That is ice cream, counselor. The humans have set up a distribution point in the main hall. I suggest you try some. It is very good for morale. Tyrek looked at Celira. Celira shrugged. I suppose we should try this ice cream, Tyrek said. You will not regret it, Arya promised. Though I recommend the vanilla. Chocolate is overrated. Despite everything, despite the fear and the damage and the uncertain future, Tyrek found himself laughing while the robots continued their work. The station slowly came back to life. And in the main hall, humans and Valorans sat together, sharing bowls of something cold and sweet, learning to be friends. The main hall of Sanctuary Prime had never been so busy. Long tables had been set up in rows, and on each table sat containers of different colors. Blue, pink, white, brown, green. Each container held a different flavor of the human food called ice cream. Celira stood at the first table, holding a small bowl in her hands. The substance inside was pink and cold, and it smelled like nothing she had ever encountered before. Around her, Other Valorans were experiencing the same confusion. They poked at the ice cream with their eating tools, sniffed it, and looked at each other with uncertain expressions. "You have to actually eat it," a voice said. Celira turned to see a young human male sitting down across from her. He was thin and had dark hair and friendly eyes. "It does not do much good if you just stare at it." "I am uncertain how to proceed," Celira admitted. "Is there a proper technique?" The human laughed. "No technique. You just put it in your mouth and chew. Or do not chew, actually. Let it melt on your tongue. That is the best way." He held out his hand in the human greeting gesture. "My name is Danny Ortiz. I work on the Constellation. Logistics mostly. Making sure things get where they need to go." Celira touched his hand briefly, the way she had seen humans do. "I am Celira. I am assistant to High Counselor Tyrick. I know. Arya told me about you. She said you are smart and brave, and that I should introduce myself." Danny grinned. "Arya likes playing matchmaker. Not romantic matchmaker. Friend matchmaker. She thinks everyone should have more friends." Celira looked down at her ice cream again. Then, slowly, she brought a small amount to her mouth. The sensation was unlike anything she had experienced. Cold, yes, but also sweet and smooth and complex. The flavor seemed to change as the ice cream melted, revealing new layers of taste. Her 4 eyes widened in surprise. "By the stars," she whispered. "Good, right?" Danny was smiling widely now. "That one is strawberry. My personal favorite. Though the chocolate is popular too, and the mint chip, and the cookies and cream. Humans have been making ice cream for hundreds of years. We've gotten pretty good at it. Why?" Celira asked. "Why do you make this?" "Because it tastes good." Danny shrugged. "Because it makes people happy. Because when you are having a bad day and everything seems terrible, a bowl of ice cream can make things feel a little better." He took a bite of his own ice cream. Humans believe in small comforts. We have learned that the big problems are easier to face when you do not ignore the little pleasures. Celira thought about this. The Valorans had a similar philosophy in some ways. They valued art and music and conversation, but they had never thought of food as a source of comfort. Food was fuel, nothing more. "Your species is strange," she said. "I know." Danny did not seem offended. "Everyone says that. The Kethrani think we are too emotional. The Moradi think we are too practical. The collective does not know what to think about us at all. The collective does not know what to think about us at all." He leaned back in his chair. "But here is the thing. We do not really care what other species think. We do things our way because our way works for us. And when our way works for other people too, that is a bonus." "Like the ice cream?" "Like the ice cream," Danny agreed. "And like the ships and the robots and the weapons we are installing on your station. We did not ask if you wanted all of that. We just showed up and started helping. Some species would be offended by that. They would say we are overstepping, interfering, acting like we know better. Are you?" Celira asked carefully. "Acting like you know better?" Danny was quiet for a moment. Around them, the hall was filled with the sounds of people eating and talking. Humans and Valorans sat together at the tables, sharing food and stories. Despite everything that had happened, despite the fear and the damage and the threats from the Scrath, there was laughter in the air. "Maybe," Danny admitted. "Maybe we are arrogant. Maybe we should have asked permission before we did everything. But here's what I know." He leaned forward, his expression serious now. "Your station was dying. Your people were scared. You asked for help, and most of the galaxy ignored you. We did not ignore you. We came. And yeah, we brought a lot more than you asked for. But would you rather we had brought less?" Celira did not have an answer for that. The truth was, if the humans had sent only what the Valorans had requested, a few technicians and some repair supplies, the station would still be falling apart. The air would still be thin and stale. The people would still be afraid. Instead, the station was being rebuilt. Better than before. Stronger than before. No, she said finally. I would not rather you had brought less. Danny nodded. That is what I thought. He stood up from the table. Listen, I need to get back to work. But I wanted to warn you about something. Warn me? The Scrath are coming. Danny's voice was low now, meant only for her. Our sensors detected one of their scout ships yesterday. It saw our fleet and ran away. That means they know we are here. And that means they're going to come back with more ships, more guns, more everything. Celira felt a cold feeling in her stomach that had nothing to do with the ice cream. How do you know they will attack? Perhaps seeing your fleet will frighten them away. It will not. Danny shook his head. The Scrath are not like most pirates. They are organized, disciplined, well-funded. Someone powerful is backing them. And whoever that is, they will not like that we showed up and ruined their plans. He paused. When they come back, it is going to be a fight. And you will fight them? That is what we do. Danny smiled, but it was a different kind of smile now. Harder. We are not just here to fix your station, Celira. We are here to protect it. And we are very, very good at protection. He walked away, leaving Celira alone with her thoughts and her melting ice cream Dodd. She thought about what he had said. About the Scrath coming back. About the fight that was coming. About the humans and their strange mixture of kindness and violence. The Valorans were not fighters. They had never been fighters. For thousands of years, they had survived by being useful to others, by trading and negotiating and making themselves too valuable to destroy. But the Scrath did not care about value. They only cared about power. And the humans had power. More power than Celira had imagined any species could have. She finished her ice cream and went to find Tyrick. He was in the command center, watching the humans install new equipment into the walls. Screens that had been dark for weeks were now glowing with information. Sensors that had been broken were now working again. Counselor, she said, we need to talk. Tyrick turned to look at her. His silver skin was brighter than it had been yesterday, a sign that his health was improving along with the station's. What is wrong? The Scrath are coming. The humans know it. They are preparing for battle. Tyrick was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. I suspected as much. Captain Monroe has been very interested in our defensive capabilities. Or lack of them. What do? We trust our new friends. Tyrick looked out the window at the human ships floating in formation around the station. We have no other choice. And if they lose? If the Scrath destroy them and take the station anyway, then we are no worse off than we were before. Tyrick turned back to her, and his 4 eyes were steady. But I do not think they will lose, Celira. I have watched them work. I have seen what they can do. These humans, they are unlike anything I have ever encountered. They are dangerous, Celira said. Yes, Tyrick agreed. Very dangerous. But they are dangerous in our defense. And right now, that is exactly what we need. In the main hall, the ice cream party continued. Humans taught Valorans how to make ice cream floats, mixing the frozen dessert with sweet carbonated drinks. Valorans shared their own foods with the humans, strange fruits and fermented beverages that made the humans' faces twist in interesting ways. And outside the station, the human ships kept watch. Their weapons were armed. Their sensors were scanning. They were ready. The Scrath were coming. Everyone knew it, but for the first time since the attacks began, the people of Sanctuary Prime were not afraid. They had robots and ice cream and 12 warships full of humans who had come to help, whatever happened next. They would not face it alone. The alarm started screaming on the fifth day. Tyrek was in his quarters when the sound filled the air. He had been sleeping, the first real sleep he had gotten in weeks, and the noise pulled him out of his dreams like a hand dragging him from water. He was on his feet and running before he was fully awake. The command center was chaos when he arrived. UN officers were shouting at each other. Valoran crew members were staring at screens with terrified expressions. In the center of it all stood Captain Monroe, calm as stone, watching the main display. "Report," Tyrek demanded. "They are here," Monroe said. Her voice was flat, controlled. "The Scrath. They brought friends." Tyrek looked at the screen and felt his heart stop beating. Ships were pouring out of hyperspace. One after another, they appeared, filling the darkness with metal and malice. He tried to count them and lost track after 40. They kept coming. Cruisers with guns bristling from their hulls. Transports heavy with soldiers. Fighters swarming like insects around the larger vessels. 47 ships, Arya reported. Her voice came from speakers throughout the room. 23 are combat vessels. The rest are support and troop carriers. They have brought an invasion force counselor. They intend to take the station. "We only have 12 ships," Salira whispered. She had appeared beside Tyrek without him noticing. 11. The Harrison is still being repaired. "How can 11 ships fight 47? "Watch and learn," Monroe said. There was something different about her now. She was smiling, but it was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone about to do something violent. "All ships, this is Monroe. Battle stations. I repeat, battle stations. This is not a drill." Through the windows, Tyrek could see the human fleet moving. The ships shifted their positions, spreading out into a formation he did not recognize. The Constellation, the largest vessel, moved to the front, its hull seeming to grow darker as shadows fell across it. "Counselor, I need you to do something for me," Monroe said. "Anything. Stay out of the way." She turned to look at him, and her eyes were hard. "This is what we do. This is what we are good at. I need you to trust me and let us work." Tyrek wanted to argue. He wanted to help. But he looked at the screen again, at the wave of enemy ships closing in on his station, and he knew that there was nothing he could do. This was not a situation that words could fix. "I trust you," he said. Monroe nodded once. Then she turned back to the tactical display and became a different person entirely. "All ships weapons free. Target the lead cruisers. I want them burning before they get within range of the station." She paused. "Constellation, give me full combat configuration." Tyrek did not understand what that meant until he looked out the window again. The Constellation was changing. Panels on its hull were sliding open, revealing weapons that had been hidden beneath. Arrays of missiles and energy cannons emerged from the ship's body like teeth from a predator's mouth. The vessel seemed to unfold, growing larger and more terrible with each passing second. "What is that?" Salira breathed. "That is a human warship," Arya said. There was something like pride in her voice. Humans do not build ships to look impressive. They build them to win fights. Everything you see is designed for one purpose: destruction. The Scrath fired first. A wave of missiles launched from their lead cruisers, streaking toward the human fleet. Tyrek watched them come and felt despair rising in his chest. The missiles vanished. Point defense. Batteries on the human ships opened fire, filling space with streams of projectiles that shredded the incoming missiles before they could reach their targets. It was like watching rain fall into a furnace. Nothing got through. Then the humans fired back. The Constellation's main guns lit up the darkness. Beams of energy, impossibly bright, cut through the void and struck the lead Scrath cruiser dead center. For a moment, the cruiser seemed to glow from within. Then it broke apart, splitting into pieces that tumbled away into space. One shot. One kill. By the ancestors. Tyrek whispered. The battle became a storm. Human ships moved with perfect coordination, each one covering the others, creating overlapping fields of fire that the Scrath could not penetrate. The Scrath outnumbered them 4-1, but numbers meant nothing against weapons that never missed and shields that never broke. Tyrek watched 3 more Scrath cruisers die in the first 5 minutes. He watched fighters swarm toward the constellation, only to be burned away by point defense fire. He watched a Scrath transport try to make a run for the station and be cut in half by a human frigate that seemed to appear from nowhere. "They're breaking formation," Danny reported from his station. His voice was tight but controlled. "The Scrath command ship is pulling back. I think they are trying to regroup." "Do not let them," Monroe ordered. "Press the attack. I want them running, not regrouping." The human fleet surged forward. They were not defending anymore. They were hunting. Through it all, the station's own defenses added their fire to the fight. The weapons Arya had installed tracked enemy ships and fired without hesitation. Mines that had been placed in the approach corridors detonated against Scrath hulls. For every shot the humans fired, the station fired another. "We're fighting," Celera said. Her voice was full of wonder. "The station is fighting." "Yes," Arya agreed. "I told you I would teach you to defend yourselves. This is the first lesson." The battle lasted 23 minutes. When it was over, 19 Scrath ships had been destroyed, and another 12 were crippled and drifting. The rest were fleeing into hyperspace, their formation broken, their courage shattered. The human fleet had lost nothing. Not a single ship. Not a single life. In the command center, Monroe let out a long breath. The hardness faded from her expression, replaced by exhaustion. "All ships, stand down. Good work, everyone. Really good work." Tyrek found his voice. "Captain Monroe." She turned to look at him. "How?" he asked. "How did you do that?" "They outnumbered you 4-1. Monroe shrugged. "Numbers do not mean much when you cannot hit what you are shooting at. Our ships are faster, our weapons are more accurate, and our crews know how to work together." She paused. "Also, we have been fighting wars for a very long time. Humans are good at many things, Counselor, but we are really good at violence. That does not sound like something to be proud of. It is not." Monroe's expression softened. "But it is useful, especially when the people we care about are in danger." She looked out the window at the debris field where Scrath ships had once been. "I am not proud of what we can do, but I am glad we can do it, because today it meant your station survived." A message came through the communications array. Monroe listened, her expression shifting to something that might have been satisfaction. "The Scrath flagship is hailing us," she announced. "They want to talk. What will you tell them?" Tyrek asked. Monroe smiled. It was not a kind smile. "I am going to tell them that Sanctuary Prime is under human protection. I am going to tell them that if they ever come back here, if they ever threaten this station or its people again, we will not just chase them off. We will hunt them down. Every ship. Every base. Every last one of them." She paused. "And then I am going to hang up before they can respond, because they do not deserve a conversation." She turned back to the communications officer. "Put them through." The screen flickered, and a Scrath face appeared. Reptilian, scaled, angry. The commander opened his mouth to speak. "Sanctuary Prime is under human protection," Monroe said, cutting him off. "Come here again, and we will destroy you. This is not a threat. This is a promise." She cut the transmission in the silence that followed. Tyrek realized something had changed. Not just the battle, not just the victory. Something deeper. His people had been helpless. Now they were not. His station had been dying. Now it was alive, defended by weapons and robots and humans who had crossed the galaxy just to help. "Captain Monroe?" he said quietly. "Yeah?" "Thank you." Monroe looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded once, a simple gesture that said more than words could. "You are welcome, counselor. Now, if you will excuse me, I need to check on my crew." She paused at the door. "Also, I am told Arya made victory ice cream. Chocolate with little star-shaped sprinkles. You should try some." She left. Tyrek stood in the command center, surrounded by the debris of battle and the hope of peace, and found himself laughing. Ice cream after a battle. Only humans would think of that. But then again, maybe that was exactly why they won. 1 week after the battle, Sanctuary Prime was unrecognizable. Tyrek stood on the observation deck and looked out at his station, at the human ships still maintaining their protective formation, at the stars beyond that had once seemed so hostile. Everything had changed. The hull plates that had been damaged were now smooth and new. The lights that had flickered and died were now steady and bright. The air that had been thin and stale was now fresh and clean. But the changes went deeper than that. His people walked differently now. They stood taller. They spoke louder. The fear that had lived in their eyes for months was fading, replaced by something that looked almost like confidence. They had survived. They had been protected. And for the first time in their history, they had weapons to protect themselves. Captain Monroe found him there, staring out at the stars. "Penny for your thoughts," she said, joining him at the window. "I do not know what that means." Old Earth expression. "Means I am asking what you are thinking about." Monroe leaned against the railing, her posture relaxed. She was not wearing her military uniform today. Instead, she had on simple clothes, dark and comfortable. She looked younger somehow, less like a warrior and more like an ordinary person. "I am thinking about the future," Tyrek said slowly. "About what happens next. That is a big topic." "Yes." Tyrek turned to face her. "Captain Monroe, I need to ask you something. And I need you to answer honestly. I will try. Why did you really come here?" He held up a hand before she could speak. "I know what you said. You came because we asked for help. Because that is what humans do. But there must be more to it than that. Your species is young. You have enemies of your own. You could have ignored our message, like everyone else did. Why did you not?" Monroe was quiet for a long moment. She looked out at the stars, her expression thoughtful. "You know what Earth was like before we went to space?" she asked. "I have read the histories. Then, you know we almost killed ourselves. Many times. We had wars that killed millions of people. We had weapons that could destroy entire cities. We poisoned our own planet and nearly made it impossible to live on." She shook her head. "We did a lot of stupid things, counselor. A lot of terrible things, but you survived." "We did, barely." Monroe turned back to him. "And you know what we learned from all of that? We learned that nobody survives alone. We learned that when you see someone in trouble, you help them. Not because you will get something out of it. Not because it is smart or strategic or profitable. You help them because it is the right thing to do. That is a very simple philosophy. Simple does not mean wrong." Monroe smiled slightly. "The galaxy is full of ancient species who have complicated philosophies. The Kethrani have been around for 50,000 years, and their approach is all about long-term strategic planning. The Marathi have been around even longer, and they think the answer to everything is philosophical debate. The collective just absorbs anything useful and discards the rest. And humans? Humans show up with warships and ice cream, and we fix problems." Monroe shrugged. "Maybe it is simple. Maybe it is naive. But it is who we are. And so far, It seems to be working. Tyrek considered her words. He thought about his own people, about their traditions of trade and diplomacy, about the thousands of years they had spent trying to make friends with everyone and enemies with no one. It had worked, mostly, until the Scrath came. "Captain Monroe," he said, "I have another question. Go ahead." "Your ship, the Constellation. During the battle, it changed. It revealed weapons I did not know it had. Systems that were hidden." He paused. "How much of what you showed us was real?" Monroe's expression shifted. Something careful moved behind her eyes. "You are asking if we have more weapons than we showed?" "Yes, we do." She said it simply, without pride or shame. "The Constellation is a mid-range patrol vessel, Counselor. It is not even close to our most powerful ship. We have battleships that could destroy this entire station with a single shot. We have weapons that most species do not even have theories about yet." Tyrek felt a chill run down his spine. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you asked, and because you deserve to know." Monroe met his gaze directly. "Humans are not trying to take over the galaxy, Counselor. We are not building an empire. But we are preparing. We are making sure that no matter what happens, no matter who threatens us or the people we care about, we will be able to respond." That sounds like fear. It is fear. We have been afraid since we first looked up at the stars and realized how big the universe is. How many threats could be out there? How easily everything we built could be destroyed. She paused. "Fear can be a good thing, Counselor. It keeps you alert. It keeps you building. It keeps you ready." Tyrek thought about this for a long time. Behind them, the door to the observation deck opened and closed. He heard familiar footsteps and knew that Celera had arrived. "Counselor," Celera said, "the final human transport is preparing to depart. They are asking if you want to say goodbye." Tyrek nodded but did not move immediately. There was one more thing he needed to say. "Captain Monroe, before you leave, I want you to understand something." He turned to face her fully, all four eyes focused on her face. "My people have watched the galaxy for a very long time. We have seen empires rise and fall. We have seen species grow powerful and then destroy themselves. We have seen every kind of civilization you can imagine. And I have never seen anything like humanity." Tyrek shook his head slowly. "You are kind and violent. You are helpful and terrifying. You bring ice cream and warships in the same fleet. You build machines that think and feel and want to be friends." He paused. "I do not know what to make of you. I do not think anyone in the galaxy knows what to make of you." Monroe smiled. "Is that a compliment?" "It is an observation." Tyrek reached out and touched her arm, a gesture of respect in Valoran culture. "But I will tell you this. Whatever humanity becomes, whatever you build or destroy or create, I believe you will do it with good intentions. And in a galaxy full of ancient species who have forgotten why they do anything at all, it is worth more than you know." Monroe looked at his hand on her arm, then back at his face. For a moment her expression was unreadable. Then she placed her own hand over his. "Thank you, Counselor. That means a lot." She stepped back. "Arya is going to stay here with you. She will help you maintain the station, train your people, keep an eye on things. If you ever need us again, just call. We will come. I believe you." "Good." Monroe started toward the door, then paused. "One more thing. The ice cream maker. We left it here. Arya knows the recipes. Try making some yourselves. It is easier than you think." She left. Tyrek watched her go, this strange human who had crossed the galaxy to help strangers and then left without asking for anything in return. "Counselor?" Celera said softly. "What are you thinking?" "I am thinking that the galaxy is going to change," Tyrek said. I am thinking that humanity is going to change it. And I am thinking that somehow, against all odds, we are on the right side of that change." He turned away from the window. Outside, he could hear the sounds of his people going about their lives. Children were laughing somewhere. Someone was singing. The air smelled like something sweet, something cold, something that reminded him of friendship. "Come, Solera," he said. "Let us go try to make this ice cream. Do you know how?" "No, but Arya does. And I believe that is the point." He smiled, and it felt good. "We asked for repairs. They gave us so much more. The least we can do is learn to make their favorite food." They walked out of the observation deck together. Behind them, the stars continued to shine. The constellation began its long journey back to Earth, and on Sanctuary Prime, a Valon station that had been dying only weeks ago, life continued. Better than before. Stronger than before, and, thanks to the humans, with plenty of ice cream. The end.